everybody, welcome to Blood Bowl. I'm Complacent Badger.
I'm Sierra Kilo.
And we have a 130 team value difference.
Between the Corsairs and the Crazy 8's.
Yes.
Number 7 playing number 9.
Yes. Odd that they didn't choose to make the Khorne Demons 8.
Right? I feel like that would have been an appropriate thing to do.
Yeah, just sometimes I think the people who do the art for, like, you know, they conscript a lot of the art out probably to people who just have no idea what Warhammer is in general. So they're just like, 9. 9 is a number.
Right.
It's like dropping the ball, man.
But I don't understand how that, like, somebody looked at it. I mean, like, just everybody who did this game probably didn't have any real idea. You know, it's just the graphics are the graphics and the interface is the interface. But very few people seem to be super involved in the lore or the or really any, like, the rules, because even the rules got probably programs in a very, I mean, obviously a very mechanical sense, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of a thing that I've noticed, especially now that I'm kind of like more into like how things are developed when it comes to video games and board games and things like that. I've been doing my research. It's mind-boggling when you get into large operations and just like what the huge percentage of people that are doing it have no idea about the background or just in general what else is happening outside of their little work area, because it's a 9 to 5 to them. They don't get paid to know all this stuff.
Right, compartmentalized operation.
Exactly. You know, especially with Eternal Crusade, that new MMO coming out, you know, everybody on staff that's like answering questions with the social media, they're just like, yeah, I don't really know anything about 40K, sorry. I just do the bushes.
Right. Well, and even you look at it and go, so first off, good cage, ball pickup, probably going to get broken like he did, because we know that Master Moose is an expert at that.
Yeah.
But I like the setup initially was pretty good. Knowing that he had the strength advantage, this was the first one of the first few times that the Bloodletter Demon was on the line.
The Bloodthirster putting himself down. Putting himself down, unfortunately.
Right. That's AJ's luck.
Yeah. I don't know if there would have been a way to do it, but I didn't like the fact that he gave up his wings to build that cage. I don't know if there would have been any other way to do it, so it's tough to say, hey, that's wrong. But right. Giving up those wings just completely just makes it to where the noose is tightening up on both sides. For those instances, you really want to try to make one flank strong so that you have somewhere to flee to.
Right.
But it just wasn't, I don't think it was in the cards with how everything was set up.
Yep, I think he went for a strong line, and when he went for that strong line, he had extra guys tied up in the front, which made the initial block easier, but it probably is going to make everything after that a little tougher.
Yeah. So back to the Corsairs. Not a lot of movement has happened, and he has a very filled-in cage. So I think the Corsairs are debating on how they're going to do this, if they're going to try to get aggressive or just let the clock run down. And maybe take
I think that they're going to have to, they're obviously playing that agility because they just can't handle the strength aspect. So this is going to be a good opportunity for AJ and his Crazy 8's to get involved on the front side and start making good decisions and making their placements to use the frenzy blocks where they can. If they can get a strength advantage and roll twice, it'd be pretty good. Plus the horns that they've got going on and using the big man as a scare, just a scary dude in the way, you know?
So
he doesn't really have to be super involved.
No, but being present is important. Robert's actually
Right.
going down, and the apothecary being used to get that badly hurt applied with no ramifications, so he will be back in the next drive. We can see that Corsairs are actually taking a very methodical defense to this, combining the agility defense to keep the cage from moving, but also giving scalpel precise attacks towards that cage to keep it pressured.
Right, and that's what you're going to see with him, is the ability to move those guys anywhere with that high agility, and the knowledge to really be good at putting them where they can be most effectively leveraged against against that cage, trying to pry the lid off.
Yep, and it's one of those things that even when he has 7 players, he feels like he has 17.
Right, they're just everywhere all at once. And you just see that, the movement allowance, the agility, he's just like, I want to be over here. I'm going to get over there.
So opting to do a 1 die to break through here, manages to do it with an injury, building that cage against an opponent. We'll see if he's able to... Nope, wild animal means that Helgrim's going to be hanging out. This may be the end of this cage just because this player is right here, but we'll see.
Everybody else seems to be a little tied up, and there are some extraneous dodging lanes to get in there and through there. So maybe.
Yeah, he does have him tied up really well over here on this left side, so it's going to be difficult to make a huge advantage of this left side. But the issue is that if he attacks from the right side, there's absolutely no respite to run left.
Right. It's all forward or nothing.
Yep. Which is not a bad situation, but you look at what he's capable of bringing to bear, and the Karn's not going to make it very far in that case. We'll see if he takes the bait of running out by himself.
Yeah, he
And there's the blitz right on it, and that's that issue of building that cage up on players, is you get situations like this. Here's the extra block, so it's a blitz and a push, so going to get hit from him and puts him down. And like I was saying, building your cage against a standing player will likely end your cage. He's not in a prime position right now, but
no, for sure not.
But it also, depending on the bounce, could mean and yep.
What did that turn into?
Double attacker down after
double attacker down.
See, he could have applied just the push. And then maybe blitzed with somebody else, but opted to re-roll, which is a dangerous prospect. If you, like, I don't know if I've ever talked about it, but it's something that makes my heart stop every time that I see where it's like, I could apply something that just does nothing, and that tantalizing re-roll for 2 dice, but it's a little dangerous.
Right.
And you can see why right there. And then here we go, partial cage just enough to make it to where you basically can't do anything. The exception might be is Helgrim could get here, break tackle to here, and crush Tsar Edward Teach.
And he did that against me, so he knows that's an option.
This would be the first time that I would be like, the Helgrim's your only chance. And I think he's looking at it. I think he's getting some hits in and getting his free moves in just in case it works out so he has something to do later. And I think that's a smart move. Opting to go with Horn Kill, it's going to paint the player, but with Tackle it might be useful, but that's not going to be enough. Helgrim would have passed the Wild Animal had he done a Blitz, so I think Helgrim might have been the better option on that one, but that's just me. It's
one of those tough things. We spend so much time saying, hey, make sure that you use your other players when available, and then he does exactly that at precisely an inopportune time, unfortunately. So that got that touchdown.
Yeah, he was definitely cognizant and picking the player that was the less risk, but it was also risk versus reward in that situation. Looking at it, it's like, okay, cool, I painted that agility 4 character. But with all the routes that he had, is a 2+ with a reroll going to be that difficult to accomplish just for a touchdown? You got to go for the all or nothing in that situation because there's just nothing else you can do to keep him from getting that touchdown.
Right. Well, and it's almost too late for him to get a touchdown, but we will like to see some damage done.
Yeah, if he can bring those numbers down, make his, at the very least, tying it a lot easier in the second half. But if he can bring the numbers down enough between now and the beginning of the next half, get 2 touchdowns potentially.
Yeah, that would be a distinct possibility. He's got some characters that have a high enough movement allowance to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. So let's see, Corsairs going to be doing their patented 2-minute stare. Alright, so moving around, getting some hits in, yada yada, Corsairs. All right, hitting Bloodletter, moving in. Ooh, trying to get an extra touchdown before the end of the half. Painting that ball carrier. Uh-oh.
Just making his life difficult.
Shadowing. Wonder if he was watching for that. Oh, had that Bloodletter right behind the ball carrier.
For that blitz, right?
Yeah.
I'd have blitzed him off.
Wow. So gave up that touchdown. I don't know if he just wasn't paying attention. That's an odd thing not to pay attention to, considering this is the team that, well, not the team, but one of the teams that are known for their, what's it
The
called?
shadowing shenanigans.
Yep. So
yeah, and it's like, you know, every time that I play, we talk about it before, is, I mean, have a list of players that are going to be exceptionally troublesome.
Yep.
And I always bring up the numbers, the player numbers,
Yep.
so that I know who's who and where they're at and how to avoid them or engage them or what skills that I need to pay attention to so that they can be minimized. You know, I got to pay attention to all those things.
So go from a bad situation of giving up that touchdown, then doing a poor kick, kicking it, landing off the field, which, as we talked about, is unacceptable. And then 2 pens against him actually caused 2 of the pit fighters to get KO'd. He then returns with a KO against the Coarse Heirs, but falling into blood, basically just rolling Bloodgrim real quick, gets in there, works out for him.
Right. Now he's a little frustrated, I think. So this
Yeah.
would have. It's a little tough.
Yeah, I think might be going back into old habits. Just not that that was the bad play right there. I do still have it in fast forward, so it's kind of tough to keep track of. But not that that was the bad play, but you can tell when. And I know we just got done saying that Helgrim was the player to play, but
Yeah.
so it's tough.
positional. It's situational. So you gotta. I mean,
Yeah.
knowing when to use that guy is the whole point of having them. You know, sometimes they're not worth it. Sometimes they are, and you pucker a little bit when they are worth it because you know what happens if they don't do it.
Yep. And this is a good situation right here, but again, without building a situation around it, it's like, cool, Helgrim totally got into position, and it's a good position for him to be in, but you're not stopping anything.
Right.
This guy is just 1 dodge, 1 2+ dodge away from getting around the other side and just throwing it for a touchdown. Like, it's more than just throwing that 1 blitz and then going, everything else.
Right. Because you can use that blitz to create a situation somewhere else to make an advantage. And saying what that advantage is now, just with the speed and the sparseness and, you know, really not having the time to watch everything develop and kind of figure it out, but pretty tough.
All right, so looking at Kaiser Francis Drake potentially getting a touchdown this game. He's debating on how he's going to do it. Opts to just run wide and maybe get a touchdown later, setting up for that dump off. Let's see if he gets trapped by it, just doing the blitz straight off the bat before. Okay, so he actually paints him and then goes for the blitz. Let's see if he, instead of he's got frenzy, so he has to follow up. Wrestle. Opting to use that both down, not looking at that wrestle ability. I hate to say the term, but rookie mistake. Got to watch out for that wrestle. Badly hurt over there, though, and then nothing was even attempted to kind of stop this character from getting a touchdown. So he's going to get a quick push off and then get that touchdown.
All right.
Yeah.
So did he have he blitzed with a player with horns, so he had the automatic strength advantage, right?
Yes.
So I don't know, maybe would have used the other character instead to mark the ball carrier, mark the potential receiver.
Yeah, trying to get that pass to not be so easy would have been the play, I think. Because I think it was this pit fighter over here who has block, tackle, and frenzy that did the marking, and then it was I want to say Hornkill.
That's what I thought too.
That did the blitz, and I know it was the Dump King, and I can't remember who the receiver was. It was probably Edward Teach, who had Nerves of Steel anyways.
But then it would have been a dodge out.
Yeah.
Dodge out with a tackle player. So that would have been like just one more possible
Well, and then
interference.
also with the blitz, if had he applied the push instead of the both down, he could have pushed into a situation where Hornkill actually, because he had that frenzy to get another push, could have potentially put Hornkill in a position to be that dodge roll.
Yep.
But applied the both down without looking at that wrestle. It pops up with both players' skills. If you just take a couple seconds of that 20 seconds when that window pops up, look at both sides and ensure you know exactly what you're applying when you apply. You can make up for any would-be mistakes.
Yep. And I don't know if you can mouse over the skills and get a description of them, but that's something that you should have done and written down before the match.
Yeah.
Any skills that you're not certain of
As long as you
that your opponent might have.
As long as you click on a player, it sticks the window down at the bottom right, and then you can scroll over, and it gives the full.
Yeah, but I don't know if during the block action, the dice results.
Ooh, that's an excellent question. I think it still does. I'm 70% sure that it still allows you to read it, but the problem then is that you have 20 seconds to see it, read it, and then apply the dice.
Right. But none of these should be. I mean, the rulebook hasn't changed in the last couple years, so.
Yeah. Yeah, Living Rulebook 6, I think, is like 2 or 3 years old. So.
Yeah. You should have a working knowledge. They should be familiar to you, right? You shouldn't ever see an ability kick and you're like, never seen that before.
Maybe some mutations here and there, but yeah.
Right. I mean, but we see Claw, we haven't seen, have we seen Prehensile Tail?
I don't think in this league we've ever seen Prehensile Tail.
But we have tentacles now, and then you will get like 2 heads.
Yeah, I don't
and
think
you have
2 heads is
large hand.
Big hand, but yeah.
Big hand.
Another player getting pushed off the pitch over there. It's just unfortunate mistakes. So setting up, getting that partial cage. There we go. Full cage.
Going full cage.
Cool, building that full cage. So this is good news. I mean, it is against a player right here, so it's and a player over here. But this player is not so problematic because it does have 2 other players touching him.
True.
And this one up here is not going to get really much support because all the rest of the team's down here. So we'll see. We'll see if this cage gets broken. I don't think it will, though.
Yep. I might have actually put the top left player in contact with the defensive player on the top right.
Yeah, I might have to.
On his left side, adjacent to him.
Yeah,
and then
because he's not doing anything where he's at.
Yep, it would have taken the assist away, the potential assist that he would have wanted to use there.
So, level 1 Gown, that new, I believe he's a new catcher.
Not too bad, badly hurt.
And that is going to be a both down wrestle, but doesn't matter. Wrestle doesn't give a turnover, so ball carrier runs in, gets that touchdown.
Good job.
That was really good cage building and good constant drive by the Crazy 8's. That was pretty textbook. That was a good move.
That's really what. Yep.
And Helgrim did not play a huge part in it, but he was nearby and present to kind of close lanes for the defensive players.
All right. Perfect.
Yeah, that was a much better showing than the rest of the game, I would say.
Yep. And I think that it's proof positive that the team can do it, the coach can do it. We'll just see a little more consistency with that, because this is a super hard team. The Corsairs are a really brutal team to play. So.
Yep.
This isn't a bad showing score-wise.
No. I will also say that this is most likely going to be a very frustrating game or rather, I should say, a frustrating review for Axon Jackson to watch, just because it could be perceived that we were kind of flip-flopping on what our perception of what should have been done. But like you said earlier, and I'd like to iterate, is that it's totally situational. And you get to a point where you see the situation and you make a determination based on your perception and what your experience is. And there's probably not a one right answer, but there's probably an answer that 60% of people would agree on.
Right. I think that that's a good point there. That you can't have a perfect answer all the time. I mean, otherwise we'd turn this into a, could Big Blue, or what was it, Deep Blue,
Yeah.
outplay us at Blood Bowl?
Yep.
Probably, but he's going to run the same odds that we run most of the time, and if it passes 30% of the time, it passes 30% of the time.
Yeah. So please, and for anybody else that's having struggles or watching this, don't take what we say as flip-floppy or trying to get aggressive or anything. It's really just how we perceive the situation, hindsight, Monday quarterback, and trying to give advice on very particular situations that have a lot of variables and random factors in them.
True play.
I think that the Crazy H had a much better showing towards the end of the game. And I think even in the beginning of the game they showed a lot of promise, but got set up in some traps that the Corsairs are known for, kind of that mental labyrinth that the Corsairs always like to throw out.
Yeah, that's like I said, tough coach to play against.
Yeah, it's always a game that if you're like, hey, I scored a touchdown, that's good news. Like, it's tough, but I think overall the game was good for the Crazy H. Just a really tough opponent. Corsairs.
Yeah, and the match rating of 19, so it wasn't shabby.
Yeah, and then Corsairs played well as always. So thank you very much, and we will see you in the next one.
Later.